By the way, Mom, sorry, I'm gonna go into this already. I asked my mom one time, I'm like, Mom, like, did you ever do blow back in the day? And she's like, yeah, that shit was everywhere. It was the 80s. Of course I did cocaine. Too much information, Mom. She's like, yeah, but I did cocaine, but you know, when I found out I was pregnant with you, I totally quit. Like, when I went into labor, I said I was never going to touch that shit again.
The type of mental illness I suffer from is depression, anxiety, OCD, and PTSD. My insecurity just didn't want to, like, I don't know, it kept me from doing stand-up. I was very introverted before I started doing stand-up and very, like, did not know how to, like, get over that, like, you know, low self-esteem about myself because I had boyfriends that just didn't support me or family that was like, that's not really you. So, like, when I finally got to do stand-up, it was very liberating and free.
One day there's going to be grandmothers named Brittany. I got 2 kids, and I did something white people don't do anymore. I gave my children first names. Taylor, Tyler, Tucker, Tanner, Mason, Morgan, Madison, Connor, Carson, Jackson, Jefferson. These are last names. You are making your kids sound like a law firm. Stop it. And this is a white people problem. You've never met a Mexican guy. Hi, I'm Lopez Gomez. Nice to meet you. I just was always kind of a tense, paranoid, anxious kid. The official diagnosis would be generalized anxiety disorder with hypochondriacal panic disorder. But I have not had a panic attack in 2 years. I'm on the lowest dose they prescribe of sertraline or generic Zoloft. Ask for it by name. But I do consider myself fortunate in a way to have that because the side effect to not having it is too much of a closed, turned off sheep-like mind, and I wouldn't want that.
I'm actually in a really weird phase of my transition right now. Now whenever someone is sexist towards me, I'm simultaneously insulted by the misogyny, but secretly glad that they acknowledge me as a woman. So I don't really know how to deal with these conflicting feelings, you know? Like someone would say something really fucked up on the internet, and you know, in public I have to go, oh, how could you? But inside I'm like, oh my God, tell me more about how I'm a dumb woman. Oh my God, really?
Okay, well, I've been afflicted with bipolar disorder. So instead of like going, oh, I'm bipolar and this is like the worst thing that's ever happened to me and stuff, you know, this is something I live with now. Something that I have to manage and I have to take medication for and everything. I wouldn't actually say fortunate. I would actually say it's unfortunate, but it's not like a curse. It's just, I would prefer not to have it, honestly.
Christopher Columbus got a holiday, right? What do you do? Find somebody, kill some people, take over? That's like me coming to your house and being like, I discovered this house. Hey, I'm still here. Not for long. You know, I took off work that day, you know? And then I'm like, you know, he called, he was like, Brandon, I see you didn't come to work. He was like, why is it? You know what today is? It's Moon Day. He said, no, it's Tuesday. I said, Moon Day, not Monday, motherfucker. He said, what you gonna do on your Moon Day? I said, I'm going to Chipotle and celebrating my Moon Day. I was really high when I came up with that.
I suffer through depression, you know what I'm saying? Everybody suffers from depression, you know, whether they want to admit it or not. But, you know, it just depends on how you deal with it, you know what I'm saying? Me personally, I smoke weed, so, and eat terrible food. And I got some right here. I got some weed right here. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. You know, and in all honesty, just the best way to deal with a disability is to really know yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it that puts your mind at ease to get you back down to reality and not play into all that negativity that we put ourselves through?
It's so socially awkward. It's easier for me to get into the belly room than it is for him to get a woman that's a bed. You're still a virgin! You know, Joe, it's not that nobody wants to fuck you. It's that no one can get over the emotional trauma of fucking you. Jesus, that was a real life battle. You went in on him, like he took money from you and like rolled away or some shit. Yeah, you did.
I wouldn't say I'm fortunate enough to have any mental illness, but the types I'm diagnosed with at this point, because there will be more. I'm schizophrenic. I'm technically schizoaffective, which is schizophrenia with another mental illness on top of it. Mine happens to be bipolar at the moment. They always change. Everything is, because nobody understands what's actually happening.
I came out to my folks a little while ago, and they were cool with it. I shouldn't tell them I'm a bottom, though, right? Like, that's not something I should divulge to my dad, right? You think in the back of his mind, he's like, yeah, he's gay, it's fine. But dear Heavenly Father, like, if it's possible, please tell me he's just pushing shit in. I need something, man. God, sorry. I'm still talking to God.
I've got some anxiety thing. Like, I didn't get to go to therapy long enough to get it like exactly what it was. But the psychiatrist's like, oh yeah, you've got some kind of generalized anxiety. And yeah, they gave me medication for it, and it's weird. Like, I've got documented proof of it, but I still feel like it might just all be in my head.
I just started looking at my symptoms online, and I'm like, oh shit, I got depression, like bad. I'm like, why do I have this soul-sucking feeling most days?
It's weird because sometimes I feel like stand-up has helped some of my problems, some of my like issues that I have like in my head, but I feel at other times it's also not helping. Sometimes stand-up doesn't uplift, it kind of pushes me down. But then there's other times where it's like, oh my god, I'm so glad I went out and did a set, because that set kind of made me go for another 2 months.
I think it's helped because most people I know of that are very anxious or depressed, it comes from an over sensitivity or over empathetic nature. You know, we feel everybody, and you know, what better person to be in front of a crowd than someone who can feel other people's energy. I think it helps me read what the crowd is wanting, what they're liking, what they're not liking, what they're feeling, and what they need to hear at that moment.
My comedy for a while, like, it was becoming about how depressed I was and how I'm dealing with depression and mental health. And I think you can do some of that, but if you do it all the time, then it's like, I don't know if I want to see you showing your work all the time. I just want to talk about something else, talk about anything else outside of yourself. And my comedy's gotten, I think, better in the long run, because I'm just like, what else do I have to say besides I'm depressed and here's what it feels like. Yeah.
Procrastination, or just having something that's negative take up so much time, you could put that depressing time with something else, you know. I mean, despite we do things to help it, but sometimes it's complicated, man, because there's no clear answer to none of this, you know. It just depends on how strong you are, really.
Mental illness, it gives me a different perspective than a lot of people, so it'll be a little bit unique, a little different than most people. I believe that it's hurt the relationship aspect of doing comedy, the networking, getting to have a relationship with people. I feel like that suffered because of my mental illness.
Having a different perspective, I guess, might help. But I feel like I'd be so much more effective if I wasn't just like buzzing all the time, just like, oh god, what's going on? Oh, I got open mics, and I gotta be successful, and like I gotta get my podcast, and I got like trying just freaking out, trying to do everything. If I could focus, I'm positive I'd be more effective at doing everything.
I feel like it gives you a little more depth as a person too. While it does suck, like you have that like, when you meet somebody else with depression, you're like, oh hey, he's got it too. Like you can tell. Like it's the shitty shining.
I'm tired. That's how you know someone has to be like, are you okay? Oh, shit, man, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
Being able to open up and show that heartbreak and that sadness on a bigger scale, not just on one-on-one with you and me, but like on a larger scale with other people watching, it's kind of intimidating. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very intimidated right now, but it's hard because I'm really opening up my inner demons, and I don't really talk about them so openly. So when you see me cower, it's because it's like, oh wow, like I don't want to get hurt. It's scary, but sometimes you have to take that leap of faith, and you gotta just be like, okay, let's go for it.
I did procrastinate about doing stand-up, but I wouldn't blame my disorder for it because I knew I wanted to be a stand-up when I was 14. Back then it was on every channel. It was the first time that I remember seeing cool people doing something I could do. But these guys were telling jokes and they were the coolest guys in the room, and I could do that. So I knew I wanted to do it at 14. I didn't get on stage till 24. But if not for my anxiety, I think I may never have done it because I realized that this is my calling. This is who I'm built like. I tried other jobs, other careers, and nothing felt good. I wasn't growing up to use that. One of the chosen few. Exactly. Chosen few. And Mark Maron actually said that best. The proper response to somebody telling you you're anxious or depressed is, thank you very much. That means I'm awake. Yeah. It's like, your happiness is creepy and weird, you know?
But now that, I'm heavily medicated, I don't really hide away anymore. I kind of just talk to people and make small talk. And sometimes people ask like, "How are you doing?" And my old natural impulse would be to just tell the truth, which is like, "Oh, I'm not doing great, and here's why." And I would just unload on people, overshare, right?
Yeah.
And a little sharing like that is helpful, I think, right?
Yeah.
But I did it all the time. So now, when someone asks me, "How are you doing?" and I say, "Oh, I'm doing fine." If I say I'm doing fine enough times to enough people, my mood will start lifting. It's almost like you fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And so now that I'm doing that more, I'm realizing that people are more connected to me. People are more happy to see me.
It's not like it keeps you in a state of normality, It's just always one extreme to the next. So it's kind of like you have to adjust to that. And it hurts people around you when they see you act a certain kind of way, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, they don't get it. They don't really know you as a person. They just know the cool you. And when you're not cool, they're just like, hey, bro. But they don't understand the cool you and the not so cool you is the same person.
I tend to isolate a lot. I tend to disassociate. I tend to back away from interactions with other people. And as much as I love them, and as illogical as it is, I feel the need to sometimes run from that. And that's just how mental illness is. It's very isolating. It makes you to feel alone all the time. And that's what you always feel.
Like, I feel like comedy's helped me meet people just because I'm forced around everybody all the time. Because normally I'm like super socially awkward and won't talk to people. Like at a party, I'll just be in the corner sipping a beer or whatever. But with comedy, you all have the same goal, and you're like, oh, I know he's a comic, so I can connect with him on that point if you're talking to somebody.
So it's kind of like having roommates. Like you're on top of each other all the time. Like you're seeing each other a whole bunch. Dude, the best way to meet people is to get on the open mic scene.
Yeah, like there's no real wallflowers in comedy.
Yeah.
Or they don't, or I guess you just don't remember them. Yeah.
But
you're all taking the same class.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're all sharing notes and shit.
How do I deal with a bad set? I don't really let it outward, but inside I hold it all in because I'm like, fuck, I didn't do well. And I'll say it out loud. I'm like, fuck, I didn't do well. Sometimes you can blame it on the audience because sometimes there's 3 people in the crowd and they're just totally not into stand-up. They're not into it. And I don't have the chops yet to like get their attention and focus. It really sets me into my depression again, where I'm like, well, why do I even do stand-up? Why do I even cut hair? Why do I even do this? Why should I even try?
It with a lot of things. I mean, drinking works for some people that have situational anxiety. Same thing with Xanax. But I had an overall anxiety with the occasional burst of panic. Xanax or drinking isn't going to help that because you're already into it. It's too late. You're chasing the drugs. So something like Prozac, which didn't really work for me years ago, and Zoloft, which did work for me. There's also Paxil and Lexapro and a few others like that. As far as professional help, yes, had a ton of different therapists. For me, their techniques were sometimes good, like overall breathing, but when your brain is on a loop, trying to focus on meditation, for me, was just something else to frustrate myself. Just call someone on the phone that's okay with it. If you have friends or family that know you have that or have it too, and they'll talk you through it. If you have a support system, that's the best, because that's the best thing therapy gave to me, was someone I could just vent about this to, and that still helped.
If I'm not good, then I'll kill myself. That's what I kept thinking. Like, if I'm not good my first open mic, I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah.
This is my dream, and if I can't be good at my dream, then there's no reason to live. Because people without mental illness don't think that way, right? They don't think, oh my God, I had one bad set, I'm not funny anymore. So yeah, it stops me from going on stage, and I don't like that. I'd rather just do it because I love it and just forget about the rest of it. I'm trying to figure myself out. And so maybe if I publicize my feelings to the world, maybe someone else will help me figure myself out too. That's kind of how I feel.
Marijuana is legal. Marijuana is legal. Do I do any other drugs are illegal drugs than marijuana? Hell no. I ain't got time for that. I used to drink at one point, and drinking is a terrible thing. It's terrible. That will get you into situations you do not want to be in. Well, what's another way that I could deal with the pressures of being a comedian, a black man, a father, and you got to figure out what's something that won't kill me like that, but give me the strength, you know what I'm saying? Some people say Jesus, I'm like, well, I'm waiting. But the weed, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it gives you that mobility to be like, oh, okay, I could deal with this. But it's only temporary. It's very temporary weed.
I do smoke weed. I've been trying to quit that too. I've been trying to be sober for the most part the last month or so. And that's, again, really, really hard when you're mentally ill. Because, you know, being within your own natural headspace is often just really, really demoralizing.
Cannabis,
drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, distraction. I don't need to be paying you $100 a session when if all you're gonna do is make me functional. Give me a hit off a vapor pen. Give me, you know, some caffeine. Give me something to distract myself, my feeling, just give me something to take away this malaise.
For a while, like just walking on stage was psyching me out, or like grabbing the mic was psyching me out for too long. And I was like, I'm just gonna just get there as fast as I can. And
that's how it changes too, though. That's why they keep saying, get on stage, get on stage.
And you get comfortable with it. And you just walking out, and you're like, well, this is my house. I work here. You know, this is.
It ends up being like the Wizard of Oz. Everything's black and white, and then you get on stage and it colorizes, and you're like, this is my world.
Exactly. That's a good way to describe it.
Because I am very insecure and shy. So like I always am a people pleaser too. So that's another thing where like I want to be friends with people. And if they don't give me like a positive reaction, I just go into my head and go, what did I do wrong? Was I coming on too strong? Was I too this? What did I do to not make this connection happen? You know, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice to not go get therapy. I just can't afford it. It costs so much, and then if you wanted to, you could go to like a freaking student therapist and get a shitty result. Having people that you surround yourself with, like a supportive group of people. Have some solid friends that know when you're abusing certain substances and not having fun with them, and could be like, check you a bit, be like, hey dude, what the fuck's going on? I think that's better than going to somebody 2 days a week and paying them a bunch of money when you're still like, I still feel like shit.
George Carlin said it better than I could. I like people, but I like them in short bursts. It's because I am so switched on, and I am so, sensitive to all that. So I love to be around people for a little bit. Like I can't, go to, I don't like long parties. I don't like vacations where I don't have alone time. I need to decompress and recharge. But yeah, I wouldn't call it a social anxiety because I do enjoy being social, but there's just so much more to it to me than it is to the average person.
I've quit comedy like 100 times. Yeah. That's what happens when I have a bad set. I'm done. Yeah. I'm so over dramatic, dude. I have a bad set. I'm like, fuck this. Never do it again. Yeah. Go mope. I used to throw things. First blame the crowd. Fuck them, they're stupid. And then blame myself. No, they're not stupid. It's not their fault. I'm fucking stupid, right? Yeah. Just get on as soon as you can. Don't let it linger too long. Because if you let it linger too long, you're in a bad mood for days. If you take every good or every bad set to heart, then you're not going to do this.
If I really love doing stand-up, I'm doing it because I want to heal somebody through my performance. I want them to see that I am trying to entertain you for real, for real. Let me tell you, what's the difference between a good show and a bad show? Just the reaction in your performance. After that, you're going back to your life. Like, nothing changes. So it's best to do it because you want your stand-up to be better as far as the performance. But to be honest with you, it just depends on what you're trying to do. You know, if you're trying to have fun in comedy, then have fun. But if you're trying to go somewhere, you gotta like practice that. You gotta practice. So no matter how depressed you get, you know, you can't never let it affect what you gotta do, because you have a job and an obligation to this world because you're in it.
They charged me $3,000 to see a doctor for 10 minutes and get some pills. No, I'm never considering professional help again, because it's ridiculous. Try going bankrupt while being crazy, motherfucker. It is ridiculous. I would never do that again, because there's such a stigma, and the way our healthcare system works, it is ridiculous. I cannot afford to get professional help. There's no way. And they want to, destroy that too. They want to destroy the little bit that we have. Fuck you, Reagan, for ruining that. You did that. Ghost of Republicans past.
With depression, it makes it hard to want to go out and you want to sit in it, you don't want to go out and get help for it because you're like, oh, I know what they're gonna say. You go through all that in your head. I don't know about you.
It's like you've got to find the therapist that's right for you, and the first one's gonna help you realize some things, and then you go, okay, well, thank you. This has taught me that you're not right for me. I'm starting to realize I need something more specialized.
You know what is depressing? Not having health insurance, and that makes it hard to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys like that where you just don't have. I just now got health insurance. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll think about going and seeing somebody.
There was a lot of violence growing up, just because it was a different time. I mean, when I first started doing stand-up, I actually got sexually assaulted. I didn't know how to deal with my emotions, and it was with somebody I knew. When a friend that you thought is a stable person who pretty much takes advantage of you, you don't know how to handle that. So I went through this really bad depression state where I couldn't trust anybody. I kind of went through a downward spiral. I couldn't let people in. I was getting fucked up just so I could get on stage and talked about how fucked up my life is. There was no jokes in there anymore, and it bled through my stand-up. It made stand-up not fun. I can do something that's funny and people are laughing at it and they get joy from something I made. Yeah, it's still there, that hurt is still there, but it peeled back the layers and it made me really think, what do I need to do to make myself happy? If I can make other people laugh, I found my own joy.
You were on TV quite a few times. How do you deal with that, being anxious?
I've had it happen. I was fighting off a panic attack on the way to shooting a show I was on for a couple of years, The World's Dumbest on True TV. And I did, but I come to life on stage. I shove it down. Now, I'm still feeling a wreck, but it's not coming off as much. I still get through the show. Usually by the end, the feeling of completing it. You lick your wounds after the battle is a famous saying. And that was kind of my thing. It's as awful as I feel now, I know I can still do this.
I was so determined to get better that I just did everything I could. I was suicidal, man, for a long time. It was after I filmed my hour.
Okay.
And that was my life goal. And then I did, you do your life goal, and then you're still alive afterwards,
Yeah.
Then what? No one ever tells you that's the hard part of living, right? It's I don't want to feel this way anymore. So just try anything. I was on 13 different medications before they found the right combination for me. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. It was harder than coming out as transgender.
Yeah.
Hardest thing I've ever had to do, by far.
Yeah.
Was experiencing these side effects, and some of the medication made me even more suicidal. And everyone said it'll be worth it in the end.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe them because I was going through such a hard time. It was the hardest experience of my life.
Nigga, half the shit, if you ever look at the stupid shit you do when you depressed or anything like that, you be like, oh, I'm crazy. Oh yeah, certified. I don't get a check. I say that all the time. I see a lot of crazy people. I'm like, yeah, you crazy, but you ain't getting a check for it. But that sucks. It's business. You're taking care of things in a business-like manner, but this is real life. So you have to know how to be you and being sincere. So yeah, it does moderately.
I was abused in all the ways as a kid. Physically, emotionally, sexually, all the ways. Made me feel not important, which, you know, made me reject help, which, you know, led to the seriousness of my mental disorders. Supports my nihilism, I think, you know. The reason I don't feel important is because of those things that happened. And I think that definitely molds your, you know, point of view as a person.
Yeah, it was an old Mr. Rogers quote that I always is great for depression, like just being able to talk about it, is if it's mentionable, it's manageable. I was homeschooled pretty much my entire life. So I had that, like, my emotional baseline is super low because I was used to, like, not seeing people for, like, you know, forever. Like I say, I'm like a shitty, like, unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. It's like, there's all this stuff I don't know.
As far as trauma, like, I flat-ass repressed years of my life. Like, I can't remember shit. And I've been told that's common with anxiety, is like, you're so concerned with how you're perceived in the moment that your brain just doesn't make an image, make a memory of it. It's so preoccupied with other things.
My favorite type of, like, comedy is dark comedy.
Greg Giraldo?
Like Greg Giraldo. I was just gonna say him. Just because, like, he is one of my favorites who expresses, you know, depression in a funny way. I know, rest in peace. He is like I don't know, he to me is like, he made depression super funny. We're gonna just say it made it easier to digest.
Yeah.
Because I've been through depression. I mean, you know, a year or two ago, I had a really bad breakup. You know, I would always say I'm like one more heartbreak away from being a stripper. Yeah. A daytime stripper.
Yeah. This happened to me recently. Jesus, jump that truck. What the fuck are you doing?
We're gonna use it.
Social media, I fell off the wagon. I just realized you can't change people. You know, it's going to be what it is, but you can choose to join it or not. You know, make the choice to sort of. It's not worth having a place to put up your cat pictures. The garbage that comes back to you.
Someone with anxiety, those things can stick with you.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 4 in the morning, and you're thinking about a comment that someone said, you know, a week ago.
In the age of social media, what I would say is, you know what, write it all down, but don't post it all. Because I regret a hell of a lot more the things I posted than the things I didn't post. You know, and it's hard for a comedian type or any artist to not want to be heard, or to be okay with not being heard.
Now, what they don't tell you about getting better is that life is also shitty, right? You deal with depression, so you think my life sucks because I'm depressed, and if you come out of depression, then you might still go, wow, life is fucking hard, right? So I'm dealing with that part now of life. I'm going like, oh man, is this what life feels like? It's not that great either, you know, but it's better than what it was before. At least I'm experiencing life now. Like, oh my god, life is like a video game that you control and there's only one game over. I just freaked myself out. And my friend told me that you're experiencing hyper-consciousness now.
Yeah.
Because you're not smoking anymore, and your medication's working, and you're experiencing life.
Yeah.
You're finally experiencing life now, and it's horrifying.
Yeah.
So that's what seeking professional help has done, is to make me more functional and horrified at the same time.
Yeah.
When it comes to advice from others based on here's what worked for me, always give it, but remember, we can't be arrogant. What worked for you may not work for them, and vice versa. Marijuana, I gave it every opportunity. It's just not my thing. I get all the negative side effects and none of the positive. Indica turns me into a zombie, and sativa makes me paranoid. I wish I could love marijuana. It looks great, you know, and you know, even the edibles, it knocked me out, but I felt horrible for the next 3 hours after waking up. So, because, you know, insomnia often goes with anxiety, which creates its own anxiety. But I always say, we can't be arrogant. We've got to present all the options to somebody if we really want them to get better.
It's just funny. Anything's funny to me. You know, it could be Richard Pryor. It could be Bill Burr. It could be Louis C.K. I'm sorry. But I like what they do, but it's just like I'm not like any of them. So it's just really me being me and getting it from everything I watch to TV to real life. Like I just, whatever I see, I like to show people and bring it to this reality.
I think it takes a special kind of person to stay in comedy. I think 1 out of 100 comics stay, and I think that person is special. I think everyone who tries comedy finds out that they're not special, and then they leave. And comedy is a fucking crucible. It is the hardest thing. It is difficult to have a funny, emotional breakdown in front of a crowd, you know what I mean? And I think it is, it separates the crazies from the normals. No normal person is gonna do this for free, often as we do. I mean, how often do you get paid?
Absolutely, depression can be funny. It's like channeling black magic or something. Like if you use it right, it's like extremely you have to. I guess you have to learn how to wield it almost.
Patton Oswalt's bit about dealing with his depression was from his 2 specials ago, I think. But he did a bit where he was talking about he wanted to wean himself off of depression medication, and I think that's a common thing. It's like anything can be funny. You just got to put it in proper context.
And then you connect with it as a person who has that, and you're like, oh, this isn't so bad if my hero does this, and he can deal with it and do this, stand up at the same time.
I feel like a lot of the time when you do stand up, you're gonna have your highs, you're gonna have your lows. You're gonna have great sets that are gonna keep you going for 4 more months. Everything in your life is gonna go great, and then you're gonna have those sets that are so soul crushing that you just want to go and kill yourself. Pretty much, where you're just like, no, it's not worth it, no longer. But you know what? Understand that it can be therapy, it can be cathartic, you can get some healing through it. Just learn the lesson that you need to learn, because sometimes you just gotta push through.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of, advice and rhetoric trying to get you not to go to people who look for help. I will tell you, whatever help you need, whatever version of, of help that you need, whether it be medication or support groups or even doctors, there's a broke person version of virtually all of it. You can get help, even if it's just a Facebook group called Anxiety and Depression. There's a place to reach out for help. And yeah, doctors may say, yeah, just take this pill, take this pill. And some people are really helped out by that pill. And yes, long term, the pharmaceutical guy might be evil, but what do you think the therapist wants? They want you to keep coming back too. People have self-interest, but it doesn't mean their self-interest can't also help you. So to that, I would say, again, don't be arrogant. Keep your mind open to anything that may help you. And because I never thought it would be medication. I railed against that for years, and I still think the pharmaceutical companies are evil.
I used to stand up as therapy, but now I use therapy as therapy, right?
It's
kind of better that way.
Yeah.
I guess it always makes me feel better getting up. It just helps my mental health to know that I'm great at something that I love.
Yeah.
So by the time I got on stage, I'm like, I've bombed so much in front of other women that it's easier for me to perform. There's nothing more humbling than you're trying to tell a joke to a girl during dinner and she just starts texting on her phone. Yeah. It's like, that's the light, you got one minute, you got one fucking minute,
Yeah.
So
impress me.
Yeah. It's a very cathartic thing for me.
I knew I had something funny about me, I just didn't know where to take it to. So when I found out I could, I was already in my late 20s. So I figured I better jump on this now because I'm not doing nothing anyway. I'm just working and married and other issues in life. But as soon as I found out how to do it, I jumped to it. And it helped me actually learn more about myself,
One of the symptoms of schizophrenia is often memory loss. I don't remember large parts of my childhood. I've been going through cognitive therapy, which has radically helped dealing with all the extrasensory information that I get because of my chemicals in my head. And it really does help. It does bleed over though. It does. You forget friends and family, and you forget social obligations that you have. you're under the delusion that nobody loves you, that you're, friendless and stuff, and that's reality for someone who's crazy. And how do you break through that reality as someone who's crazy? You often can't, and that's what isolates you even more. You know what I mean?
When you've got something, it's everywhere. Like, it's omnipresent. It's like Superman's outfit. He never takes that off. He puts Clark Kent on over his outfit. Yeah. It's basically that. It's like, okay, well, it's like a backpack. It's all right. I got my wallet, my keys, and here's the backpack, and we're going out into the world. And yeah, no, it's everywhere. It's omnipresent. It affects everything. Like, there's moments when you can quash it, I think, and you can deal with it. You get better at dealing with it. That's when they say it gets better. I think just you get better dealing with it.
I like that your superpower is you can be sad at a moment's notice.
It's the shittiest superpower. It's like, oh.
It's your feed, alter it, unfollow people, follow the right people, make the feed something that doesn't anger you. And when somebody answers in a way that gets you looping in your head for days, delete them. They don't need to see your stuff if they're going to comment every time like that. And and if everybody's commenting like that, then don't post that stuff, because clearly none of the people you know want to hear it. Write it down and then delete it.
I just try to be the best version of myself I can be now. And I think it's probably a good idea given the culture that we live in now. Like, whoever your hero is gonna be is gonna go down, and you're gonna find out some fucked up shit about them. Yeah. I don't like political correctness, but what I hate even more are the people that hate political correctness. There's a PC crowd and an anti-PC crowd, right? So I'm not going to say I'm pro-PC, but I'm going to say that I'm anti-PC. Yeah. They just want to be able to say whatever they want without any consequences. And to me, that's fucking lazy. Yeah. Like, Jerry Seinfeld came on TV and was like, oh, I did a joke about a gay French king, and then people was like, oh, look at me, weird.
Spot on, by the way.
And I just look at him, I'm like, you're complaining that people look at you weird? Do you know what I have to experience when I go on stage? Do you want to switch places, Jerry, and see how people look at me when I go on stage? So fuck off, crybaby. Yeah. Like, the biggest crybabies in the world are the anti-PC people.
Yeah. When I use alcohol to help me with depression or anything like that, it just gave me a sense of, I want to have a better time all the time, and it does that. But then it's just like wear and tear on your body. You be drinking and driving. Everybody drinks and drives in Los Angeles, nigga. I know more than drink. That's some people. That's their normal, and I can't, cause it's like I probably would have been shot by the police. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine a big 6'3", almost 400-pound black man drunk at any time?
I think it's more cathartic than therapeutic, if you know what I mean. Because therapy implies that you're healing. Catharsis implies that you're getting rid of something negative. And I feel like it's more cathartic. I feel like if it's your therapy, you're in the wrong place. Because it's not going to help you. It's not going to make you feel better often. I think projects help, keep you focused when you're mentally ill. I think the album I'm working on, also having, the podcast I have, the Good Word with Woodward, focusing on things that isn't me is very, very, cathartic, because it keeps you connected to this world. As a mentally ill person, I feel isolated from that. Having these projects really helps connecting me. Speaking about real world news subjects keeps me grounded, and it's not therapy, but it's catharsis.
I have people like friends from kids, and they're getting married now, and I see them and they're like, you're doing comedy, that's great, you've got to have so many stories from when we were kids. And I'm like, nah, I really don't. I was super worried about not getting into college and being a failure, so I kind of wasn't really living in the moment then.
And a lot of comics will talk about trauma because a lot of them are broken people, like myself. I feel like I'm broken. There's a lot of people that have broken souls, but I feel like comedy puts us back together. I always try to be there for people, and I feel like that's something I grew up with. So I grew up Lutheran.
Is that following Luther Vandross?
Not Luther Vandross.
No? Okay. No?
No.
Okay. The Church of Luther? Okay.
The Church of Luther Vandross?
Yeah.
No, not Soul Jams.
Okay, all right.
I think that we label it too much. I think we label depression and bipolar and schizoaffective and all this stuff. I'm not saying that they don't exist. Of course they exist, you know?
Yeah.
But I think, like, by you know, like, let's say I'm feeling a little bit down,
Yeah.
and I go, I'm depressed. It's like, that's a strong fucking word, man. It might become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, maybe you're just feeling a little blue, you know, changing the words a little bit. And it's like, I don't feel great right now, right? That's better than I feel depressed, right?
One of the overarching things of comics is taking that sadness, that built up, just, you know, negative emotion that builds up in that little pit in your stomach that feels like a clenched fist. I feel like the redeeming quality of us is that we can take that and turn it into something beautiful or positive or funny, and you know, that's what we do.
As far as advice, it just goes, yeah, just keep going up, keep getting your people, keep finding people that, you know, you're a comic. Like, we all have similar interests. Like, there's a lot of overlap between comics, musicians, and like pro wrestlers. We all want to live that carny lifestyle, you know. The pro wrestlers were born from the strongmen of the circus, right? The comedians were born of the clowns. Like, we all have our roots in this comedy, like, this like nomadic fucking travel lifestyle. So if you have your tribe, it's a lot easier to take care of.
Yeah, that's it. That is something too. Is like, if you're like a normal person, like, don't just like give advice to people who are depressed without like realizing what that incurs.
Oh.
Like, oh man, you just gotta, you know, just eat better and like get some sun. It's like, yeah, that can help. But if you have like a serious issue, then it's not gonna always boost your spirits to be able to go outside. Just like, be careful what you recommend to people.
They mean well.
Yeah, they sure do. And
you know,
kale doesn't fill the hole inside me.
Yeah.